Hey everybody, I'm in transit right now, and I wanted to share my thoughts about the novel Jaws, the novel written by Peter Benchley, published in 1974, which was the basis of the movie Jaws, directed by Steven Spielberg, which was released in 1975. I just finished reading the novel. And I gotta say, it's a really interesting work. It's quite compelling in a lot of ways, and the differences, of course, the snobby thing to say is, the book was better. I don't know whether I would say the book is better, quote unquote. I have respect for the movie. I think it's a very well-made movie. I know what it represents cinematically, and in cinematic history, I may not be the biggest Steven Spielberg fan in the world, although I like the Raiders movies, the original Raiders of the Lost Ark movies. They were a big part of my childhood. In general, I'm not a Spielberg head, but I can respect what he did in the case of Jaws, and how he adapted the novel, and the ways in which he changed it to make it into what came to be known as the first blockbuster ever. I think Jaws was the first movie that ever got called a quote-unquote blockbuster, followed soon after by Star Wars. But when you read the novel, it's when one reads the novel, I'll just put it in the way of talking, since I'm being snobby here. When one reads the novel, one is struck by the depth of the novel is about something. It reminds me a little bit of it's like a mini Moby-Dick. One can't really read Jaws, the book, the novel, and not think of Herman Melville's great mega novel, Moby-Dick. And I'm very partial to Moby-Dick. It's I think a great work. And it seems that in that work there's a lot of question about Captain Ahab and the whale, what the whale represents, and of course doesn't mean any one thing, and there's a multiplicity of interpretations, which isn't to say that it could just mean anything. That's something I always am very careful to, or I try to be very conscientious about emphasizing, because people hear something has multiple meanings or means different things on different levels. And a lot of people think, well, that just means that it could mean whatever you want it to mean. And no, absolutely not. It doesn't mean that all meaning is relative. It means that there's maybe no one meaning per se. There's various different things that can be said about it. But there are also things that interpretations that are just wrong, because there is a text there, and the text has words, and words have meanings, and so forth and so on. So none of that deconstructionist shit. Get that out of my face. None of that post-structuralist garbage. I don't play that. So Jaws, the novel. Here's some interesting things about it. You have this shark, this force of nature, suddenly appearing on and eating swimmers, eating I mean devouring, horrifically gobbling up frequenters of the beach of this town, Amity, during the summer months, where Amity makes their hay. It's like it's one of those places that during most of the year, the townies kind of live in, and I'm using the word townie, not derogatorily, but affectionately. The main character, the hero of the book, Chief Brody, is a townie. I don't know if the word townie is actually used by Benchley, but I'm just using it here to refer to the people who live there and who aren't, terribly high class. They're not. They're people who scratch to get by for the most part. They have their shops, they have their businesses, but they mostly rely on the wealthy people who come down in the summer to their summer homes on Amity. That's when they really make their hay, and if they have a bad summer, then that could be potentially ruinous. And so when the shark starts terrorizing the beach, when the beach of Amity, the beaches, or the waters that lap up to the beaches of Amity, when that phenomenon starts happening, at first they try to keep it under wraps, and there's like discussion about when a woman disappears at night and it looks like it's a shark attack because her body washes up and it's horribly mangled, but nobody really knows her. She's from out of town. She doesn't have much of a family, so we can sort of get away with not talking about her. And it's like there's no simple answers to because of course she's a human being. She has a name. She deserves not to be forgotten. But on the other hand, if you publicize it, then you're potentially ruining people's livelihoods. And as there are more and more shark attacks, then this it becomes there's an interesting moral quandary that you want to be able to protect people, and people have the right to know if there's a shark out there, if they're in danger. But also the townies, you don't want to just destroy their livelihoods by publicizing something unnecessarily that's going to make it so that all the money dries up, that all the rich folks don't go out there anymore because they're all afraid of a shark. But why is the shark out there? Why is it doing what it's doing? Why is it terrorizing this one area? It's not typical behavior for a shark, supposedly. But then what we learn, and I don't have any idea about shark behavior. I know nothing more than what I read about in the book. But apparently, according to what's the information that's given in the book, shark behavior often is often capricious. It's often unpredictable. It's not typical shark behavior for a shark to just hang around in one place and devour a bunch of people in this one place. But that's what it's doing in Amity. Why is it doing it there? And that raises the question: what is the shark quote unquote represent. Now, this isn't really something that they really go into very much in the movie. I think it's a good movie. It's an entertaining movie. So this is not normal behavior. So why is the shark doing what it's doing? And there are speculations. Is it, there's some crazy lady that, or a lady that they all call crazy, works at the post office in town, who says it's God's punishment upon Amity for its sins. Amity has a history of that goes back to the Puritan days, and witch burnings and things like that come into the picture, are mentioned briefly. So there's this shadow of sin that's almost Hawthornian in the book. And we see, or we are told about specific sins that take place. Now, this is the most shocking difference between the book and the movie. In the book, Chief Brody and Hooper, the character played by Richard Dreyfuss, the shark expert who comes to town to assist with finding the shark and figuring out exactly what's going on, and why this great white is dwelling in these waters, and why it's behaving the way it's behaving, why it's not going away, what can be done about it. And of course later they enlist the help of Captain Quint, who's very much a Captain Ahab-like character. This man of the sea, who's got this very ruthless streak to him, and also just if you get that, one gets the impression he's the only one. If anyone can kill off the shark, it's him. He's the only one who has has some of this preternatural instinct, and also this kind of willingness to behave ruthlessly to kill this ruthless creature that's out there, devouring, doing its devouring business without any qualms of conscience, because it's just a beast. Or is it just a beast? Is it the Quint insists that it's just a dumb animal, but yet it seems to be behaving in ways that suggest to Chief Brody that maybe it's not just a dumb animal, that maybe it has some more complicated motivations, that maybe there's a sheer malevolence that is animating this creature from the depths. But as I was beginning to say, the most striking difference between the book and the movie relates to Brody's relationship with Hooper. Now, in the movie, Hooper comes in, and they become fast friends. They really they're buddies. They help each other out. There's no animosity or tension between them at all. And then when Quint enters the picture, he ruffles some feathers, especially with Hooper. But then you have the scene of them all sitting in the boat together, swapping stories, and it's a great scene of male bonding, where Quint is recounting some of his experiences with sharks, and all of this dialogue that is not taken from the book. And whoever Spielberg and whoever the screenwriter, whoever the writers were, get credit for how they reimagined things. But in the book, the relationship between Brody and Hooper is is quite tainted, and it's tainted by the fact that Hooper actually has an affair with Chief Brody's wife, and this when I say affair, I mean just like they fuck, once. It happens once, but it's a shocking act of betrayal of for our hero, the chief, and it happens under his nose, but he's clever enough to sort of sniff it out, and by the time the book is over, he thinks we get the impression he's pretty sure he knows what happened. In the movie, Chief Brody's wife would never cheat on him. She's like a good, loyal wife. She doesn't really have that much of a role except to be loyal and supportive to Brody. And I think that Spielberg saw that was the way to sell this movie to the American public. If not to be stereotypical or anything, but somebody with a name like Spielberg might know the best way to make a buck. Anyway, it was an act of marketing brilliance to make those little tweaks to the story, where Brody's wife is faithful and they have a solid connection, and also the movie very much de-emphasizes what plays such a large role in the book, which is class distinctions. We find out that Brody's wife married Brody because she thought that she liked him, she was attracted to him, and she thought she loved him, and she was pregnant, or she got pregnant fairly quickly afterwards. I don't remember if she was pregnant when they got married or exactly what, but it was, anyway, she's a high society girl. She's from a rich family in New York, and so she was one of the wealthier. She was from one of the wealthier families who would visit Amity during the summer. And after marrying Brody, having 3 sons with him, and now she's aging. Now she's in her 30s, approaching 40. She's feeling like maybe she threw her life away. Maybe she obviously married down, and it's a very it's a painfully honest portrayal, an all too authentic of a portrayal of what this kind of character, what this sort of woman might do at this stage in her life. She's with this man who part of her despises because she thinks of him as beneath her, and she wants her sons. She sort of talks about getting her sons and trying to get her sons enrolled in tennis classes, because that would be a way for them to work their way up, the social ladder. So she wants to regain some of what she feels that she lost, that she feels that she gave away when she married a townie like Chief Brody. And so Hooper is in the book, unlike the movie where he's played by goofy Richard Dreyfuss. In the book, he's this rather dashing young man, late 20s. He's very educated, and he's a ladies' man, and he's also from a wealthy family like like she was from. In fact, we find out that she dated Hooper's brother at one point in her life, and she remembered him. She remembered Hooper when he was smaller. Matt is his name, Matt Hooper. I'm just remembering that because he remembers that she would call him Matthew. So when they meet, they flirt, and then she asks him out to lunch at some secluded place that's far away from the town, and he accepts, and they flirt some more, and it goes in the direction that you think it's going to go. This is a shocking, again, difference between the book and the movie. To have for Brody to have this disloyal wife. This is the first time she has been disloyal to him, but it's of course extremely significant. And then for the two men to be hunting the shark together when there's this thing that's happened where Brody's been cuckolded by this rich, educated, handsome man who shares his wife's snobbery towards townies like him. It really brings everything into light in a different sort of way. And again, it highlights what exactly is going on in Amity that's making this, you could again talk about it in some not eschatological, what's the word I'm looking for, like in looking at it as what is the deeper spiritual significance of why the shark is out there, why it's doing what it's doing, because it's not it's not typical behavior for a shark to just hang around. And I mean, I think this point has been made many times by many people, that the movie Jaws gave sharks a bad rap, because shark attacks are extremely rare. And sharks aren't these malevolent beasts from the depths. They mostly eat other fish, and there's a lot more violence against sharks by humans than the other way around. So in the book, it's just it's just a it's just a thriller. It's just. I don't think it's meant to be seen as meaningful or having or representing something. Like I said, with this kind of Hawthornian dimension of this town, not New England. It's not. It's New York. It's off of Long Island, but still, there being this. All these dimensions of that remind me of Hawthorne, including the legacy of witch burnings and also just the sin that we see taking place and the struggle between rich and poor and the information war. The people who are keeping. Including the newspaper man, the man who writes for the local newspaper, the editor who's the main writer of the local newspaper, because it's not a very big paper, but he at first withdraws the information because the people in the town, the powers that be, the mayor and his cronies, don't want that information getting out there because they don't want to they don't want to cut their own throats financially. And they don't want to harm the businesses of the town. And Chief Brody, of course, is much more conscientious. He's the conscience of the novel, just like he is in the movie. Really, he's somebody who values human life and wants to do his part to protect people, to protect and to serve. Just like a cop is supposed to. He's another example of a cop that's it's like I really have this schizophrenic perspective on cops. I really dislike them in reality, but I really kind of like them in fiction in a lot of cases. And Chief Brody is a fine example. So there's this whole this affair that takes place, and Hooper is fascinated by sharks and talks about them like they're gods almost, or he has this really sort of twisted take on like the ruthlessness of the shark is seen by him as something, is in some way inspirational. And in the scene between him and Mrs. Brody in the hotel room, or the motel room, the seedy motel room that they go to, he's even acting like a shark during their moment of coitus, and it's frightening to her. So you get the impression that he's he's Shark Boy, He's like a disciple of the shark. He's a worshiper of the shark, and so there is a real sort of justice in the fate that he meets, which I will spoil here for those who don't want this spoiled. Those who are actually still watching this at the 27-minute mark, who don't want the book spoiled for them, don't want to know what happened to Hooper. You can stop now. He ends up going down in a shark tank trying to take pictures of this magnificent creature that he so adores, but that Chief Brody wants to kill. He wants to kill that motherfucker because it's terrorizing people on his beaches, and he wants to protect people. That's what he was sworn to do. But Hooper is a different kind of animal, and he goes in the shark tank, and he's full of hubris. He thinks the shark tank will protect him, but it doesn't. That shark comes in and rips his body out, and unlike in the movie where Hooper survives, and it's like this buddy moment where after they kill the shark, they kick together. They're floating on the little whatever's left of the boat, and they kick together towards the shore after they've won the day. In the book, Hooper dies a terrible death, but it's one that is arguably he arguably deserves after everything that's gone down, everything that's happened, and so again, I'll just make myself suddenly visible for this last minute or so. It raises some really interesting questions about who the shark is, why the shark is there, how it relates to the goings on in the town. Now, I didn't even talk about how in the book the mayor has this. He's basically married to the mob. He made a deal with the mafia, with some mafia characters many years ago, and he tried to get out of their grasp, but they wouldn't let him. And now, he's going past due with what he owes, what he owes to them, and with the price value, the economy, going to bust in Amity because of the shark ruining it for everybody. The real estate that he had counted on, being able to use that revenue to pay off these people who are this debt that's hanging over his head. Now he's suddenly not able to do that anymore, and so he's this tragic figure in some ways. He's this haunted man. Whereas in the movie, he's just sort of like I don't know. He's sort of a slick, slippery politician who just wants to keep the beaches open because it's better for business and stuff. But it's not. There's not this deep, dark stuff going on involving organized crime and so forth. So again, there's more sin a brewing in Amity. And again, it raises the question: is that what? Why is this beast manifesting itself? And wreaking such havoc? And what does it take to kill him off? In the book, Brody is basically just a survivor. He doesn't really do much to kill the shark himself. He's just there helping out. And Quint is the shark killer. But again, spoiler alert, it ends up taking him down with it. So Brody's the last man. He's like Ishmael in Moby-Dick. He's left alone, just like the Pequod sinks and leaves nothing but an orphan. So this also happens to the Orca, to Quint's boat. It goes down, and Hooper gets mauled by the shark, and Quint kills the shark, but it fights back and drags him down with it, and they both sink to the depths together. Their two corpses sink to the depths together, and Brody, kicks his way back to shore, back to his unfaithful wife, back to his deeply compromised town with all of its hidden sins and secrets. It's really quite fascinating. So anyway, those are my thoughts about the book Jaws. Has anybody else read it? If you have, let me know what you think. If you've seen the movie, tell me your thoughts. Let me know. Thanks for watching.